We've just had our wooden floors sanded and refinished. You can see there's still dust around. Yeah, let me go through some things I learned that you might find useful and interesting if you choose to have this done. We bought this old house for many reasons, but one of the reasons is because it had these beautiful wooden floors, and today to replace them would be outrageously expensive. They're all parquet, it's imported wood. I don't know what kind of wood you're going to ask. What kind of wood is it? I don't know, because I've had 3 different professionals in and they all 3 tell me different things, but we do know it's imported. Okay, so some interesting things that you will want to know before you do your wooden floors. Let's get into that. You can see that in this sample of wood that compared to the floor out here, they're all kind of the same color. They range from really dark brown to dark brown, and that's not the natural color of the wood. Out here is the natural color of the wood, and in fact these are some raw samples of the wood, so they range from really dark like the one to the left to really light to on the one on the right. And when you finish that, it should look like this. I mean, in a natural finish, yes, it darkens it up a little bit, but this finish had turned yellow-brown. It was actually, it was chipping off. It was coming off in big flakes like this. I took one of those flakes outside and touched a cigarette lighter to it, and it just went whoomph. So whatever it was extremely flammable. I don't think it was a safe finish. I think it was a very old finish, probably, well, as old as the house, 30 years. So those are all the more reason to refinish it, was to restore it back to its original look, get rid of this yellow-brown finish, and get rid of any safety danger from the flaking finish. One of the reasons we had the floor redone is because the finish was getting pretty rough. You can see these are some pieces that were replaced, but the old lacquer finish was bubbling up. It was a shiny finish. You can see that reflecting. The shiny finish looks nice when it's initially new, but as you can see from this piece, it really shows any scratches or nicks or anything. It looks pretty bad pretty fast. So unless you can just like keep all traffic off of your floor or prevent any kind of nicks or anything, the glossy finish is not the best, so that was another reason we chose to do it. Something else to consider when you have your floor sanded. For me, this was not an amateur job. This was not anything I was going to take on. They had special equipment. They had a big belt sander. They could control very precisely how much of the surface they took off, and in most places they literally took almost nothing more than the upper lacquer surface. They did not get into the wood deeply, because you can really shorten the life of your floor if you make your flooring really thin by sanding it away. Plus the fact it's really flat. You'll notice that this is the reason I'm showing you this perspective, is it's really flat. And yeah, if they use like a circular sander or whatever, it can really mess up the surface of the floor. So having the right equipment and knowing what you're doing really produces a better result. The number one thing to consider when you have your floors sanded is dust. We have these clothes closets. They look like louvers, but they're fake louvers. They're actually a solid door. And we close those, and then we put plastic sheeting over all of it and taped it on there. And even with all these precautions, let me show you what happened. You can see the dust got through the sheeting, under the door, and got into the spaces we thought were sealed and safe. We kept our curtains right here, but our curtains were wrapped in plastic bags and tied shut, so the curtains escaped the dust, but you can see that anything else in the closet, like this, and the clothes up here, are all going to have to be cleaned because, well, they got inundated with dust. The people who did the work actually cleaned the house. They did a pretty respectable job. We brought in 2 professional cleaners. They came through and they cleaned the house, but still now as we move stuff around, there's dust. So if you have allergies to dust, you need to take that into consideration. If you have equipment, computers, all that, they need to be sealed and stored away out of the area. Don't think that just because you put it in another room, it's not going to be affected. Yes, this room was sanded, you can see the floor, but there are other rooms that are away from the dust that had tile floors, and their closets have less dust, but they still have dust. So, moral of the story is seal everything or take it out of the house or whatever. We left the house for 10 days. There's no way you're going to stay in a house where this is being done. So we were out of the house for 10 days, and yeah, it was a wise decision. Here's how well the dust travels. This is the closest place we had sanded. We had these louvered or folding doors closed with a sheet of plastic taped over it. Out this back door, which was closed, into our junky porch area. And here you can plainly see the dust. So this dust travels really well. This is the neighbor's roof. You can see all the orange dust up here. This is our dust. We have an agreement with them. They're remodeling right now, so we're sucking up a lot of their dust and vice versa. But you definitely want to work out with your neighbors first before you inundate their house or whatever with dust. Yes, our people had vacuums and all that, but still this dust is fine and it gets around. This is our storage room, and well, we had some pluses and minuses here. For instance, this stack of books, I've already feather dusted them and used the vacuum on them, but they were just stacked in here, and if you have individual items like this, you're going to end up cleaning them individually. So it's best to put them in like a box. Like these plastic boxes work pretty well. This plastic bag over here, we put stuff in there. This plastic bag is sealed. My son's already been in there getting stuff out, but it was sealed. So plastic boxes, plastic bags that are sealed are good. Paper boxes that are not sealed, not so good. That was a mistake. And individual items, you definitely don't want those sitting out because you're going to clean each one by hand. Okay, so that's kind of lessons learned. You can save yourself a lot of headache by packing things away and sealing them off. Okay, so number one issue is going to be dust. You'll notice that the riser, the first one on the staircase, is missing because as they were sanding and they just got through the lacquer surface, there was evidence of termites. So yeah, sure enough, we had a live nest of termites. Now, when we bought the house 13 years ago, we had termites on the upper floor. We knew about them, we took care of them. I got some pieces when the neighbors remodeled and they tore out some of their parquet floors. I picked up some samples, so I had matching samples. We were able to replace those. They look good because they're the same year, the same, probably the same lot of parquet wood. And yeah, we were able to take care of that. And this is, well, the contractor is working on getting us a piece. He's going to match the color for us and replace that. So you're going to have to plan on, when you redo your floors, something like water damage, termite damage. Having spare pieces is not a bad thing if you can do it, or knowing that you can get the wood and at least match the color is something you're going to have to consider. Well, that's it for the lessons I learned while having our wooden floors sanded and refinished. I hope you found this useful and interesting in your home remodeling projects.